Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this is Merfolk. This deck was donated by someone who wishes to remain anonymous and known only as a resident of Seattle, who I will call Seattle for the rest of the video. So Seattle, this is a slightly more control-y take on Merfolk. I've played Merfolk twice in Legacy on the channel before. Once was before Modern Horizons 2, put up a trophy with it. Nice little undefeated run. The second one was after Modern Horizons 2, so I have gotten to play with Tideshaper and Svaelin of the Sea and Sky. I have not been able to play with Rishadan Dockhand yet. This one is the other exciting one-drop Merfolk that came out of Modern Horizons 2. The thing about Rishadan Dockhand is that it doesn't really fit the stock Merfolk plan, which is just pack rat your opponent out, just like play a bunch of things that buff each other and get the game over quickly. Maybe force a will, like one thing along the way, but in general, just make your opponent dead. Most builds of Merfolk don't even play Wasteland anymore. They're just on islands, caverns, and mutavaults. So taking the time to tap their lands with Rishadan Dockhand, plus we have actual Rishadan Port, and the Wastelands are back. This is a more controlling, more interactive way of playing Merfolk. We still have the pack rat draws. Seattle's original list that they sent me had 4 Svaelin and 2 Lord of Atlantis, and I just can't play a Merfolk deck like that. Usually you spend most of your games just like, oh, I need to draw a Lord. If I top deck a Lord, I win. So I'm going to max out on Lord of Atlantis effects, the full 8 of those. And between True Name Nemesis and Svaelin, I don't think the deck needs 8 3-drops. And I think Svaelin is worse than True Name Nemesis in play most of the time. And being legendary means you don't want to draw 2 of them. So I think cutting 2 Svaelin for the 2 Lord is where I want to be with that. But I have left the Rishadan Port package intact because that is the reason for this deck. On top of the Port, the Wasteland, and the Dockhand, there's also Tideshaper, which 1 blue 1/1, kicker 1. When Tideshaper enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, target land becomes an island for as long as Tideshaper remains on the battlefield. Tideshaper gets +1/+1 as long as an opponent controls an island. So this is a 1-mana 2/2 against every blue deck. It's a 2-mana make something an island 2/2 against any deck. And making something an island doesn't just give Tideshaper +1/+1 and turn on your Islandwalk effects with your lords. It makes it an island, and island taps for blue. Tideshaper does not say in addition to its other types. This is not an Urborg or Yavimaya type effect. This is a Spreading Seas effect. So what that means is if your opponent fetches basic lands to play around Wasteland, you can turn their forest into an island or their swamp into an island or whatever. And if they needed non-blue mana, they're out of luck because that's an island now. If they fetch dual lands to have colors, then Wasteland can get them. If you're able to port them off of a plains every turn and they fetch a second plains, you can turn that one into an island. There's just a big squeeze from multiple directions on their lands right now, and Tideshaper is in fact part of that plan. In my last Merfolk video, I beat a blue-red Delver player by turning their volcanic island into an island, and then they just conceded without doing anything, and I have to assume their hand was just like 5 red spells. So this is a powerful, powerful effect. And I'm interested to see how it works in the context of this particular slightly more controlling build. The land count, you may worry that there's 8 colorless lands with all these double blue spells that are in the deck. But Seattle has actually replaced spells with the Wasteland slots. Like the 10 island 4 cavern is stock in Merfolk. And then usually they have Mutavault in this slot. And they just have like Force of Negation and more blue spells in this slot. So the Wasteland is not actually turning a blue land into a non-blue land. So the distribution is still pretty solid here. And I wouldn't add more lands, and you really only need 2 to do everything. So I hope that ends up working. But I could definitely see worlds where you're hoping to draw your second blue source. Actually, having played Merfolk twice, like finding that second blue source in a timely manner is frequently life or death. And a lesson I learned in the last league is that you have to mulligan, because even though this is a 22 land blue deck, like I said, 4 of them are colorless, and you don't have cantrips. Like, you don't get to keep a 1-lander with Ponder because there's just no Ponder in the deck. Like, learning how to mulligan to make sure you actually have double blue, you can cast your spells, like have an Aether Vial or double blue, is part of this deck's plan that you need to respect in the mulligan part of the game. So I think I've talked long enough about Merfolk. Let's get into these games. I'm on the draw with a 1 blue, but I do have Aether Vial and triple 1-drop. Like, my 1 island casts my whole hand, even if they answer my Aether Vial. And I could start porting them on turn 2. Like, if I just go Island, Aether Vial, then start porting, we're in business. If this is some sort of Eldrazi deck, and they play Chalice of the Void right now, we are dead. I guess if this is an Eldrazi deck, and they go like Ancient Tomb Chalice, I can waste the tomb and try to play the game that way. Oh, sweet relief. Well, I'm going to take a turn off Aether Vial to slap this tomb. Like, if they Once Upon a Time for Ancient Tomb, then make no plays and pass the turn, I'm going to take my Wasteland where I can get it. Feels bad to pass on Aether Vial against an Ancient Tomb deck, but I think it would feel worse to just get Thought-Knot Seared. Right, green mana. Not sure what that's doing. What deck has Ancient Tomb and Forest in it? This will be a mystery for the ages. But I feel like Tide Shaper's going to be pretty good here. And I snuck an Aether Vial in, so we can at least put these creatures into play. Oh my god. We're playing against Amulet Titan. And I have a Rishadan Port theme deck. That has to be what's going on, right? Like, why would anyone play these cards if this isn't Amulet? I hope you like having an island. Okay. They just bounce their land to make an island. Ooh, Exploration. That's pretty good against what I'm doing. Alright, so they're going to pick up their Sanctuary probably and reset it. And you might as well. It's the same as picking up Forest, but better. Alright, what do I know? Okay, so I get to put in Dockhand. And I do want to take this up to 2. Bummer. Alright. So I'm going to play another Tide Shaper with Kicker. And also freeze that one. And then I'm going to attack for 2. Oh, do I think they're going to do anything with their... Alright, I'm actually going to attack for 3. And get this other Dockhand into play. And just bring the beats. Like, tapping them off blue with Rishadan Port in the upkeep, I don't think is going to be super important to my plan. At least not this turn. Maybe next turn it will be. So they have Dryad of the Elysian Grove here. Yeah, they're just playing straight up Modern deck. And I could definitely lose here. They don't have the Amulet, but they can primetime next turn. But Rishadan Port is really good against these 2 lands. The Karus. Well, I don't have attacks because of all their shit. They're 2/4. I can port all of their lands though. So if I play actual Rishadan Port, I can cast Aether Vial and then port with these 2. I think I want to hide the other port, let them play around that a little longer than they need to. So is porting all of their lands or playing Aether Vial more important here? And I think it's actually porting all their lands. Alright, so we're in the upkeep. Port this one. Port this one. and port this one. The Dockhands have Islandwalk, so I could be crunching in for 2 points, but I don't think that's the play. I think that I have to settle into port right now. And I'm going to leave my Vial on 2 because Silvergill Adept and my Lords are the best draws. If I find a Tree Named Nemesis or a Svalin, I can figure out a 2-turn line to get it into play. That's not urgent. But it is urgent to start getting damage on the board. Like, if I could find a Lord and just put them on a 3-turn clock, that's where I want to be. Leave Vial on 2. Another one. Alright, so now I can port them 1, 2, 3. I could still only port them 3 times. So I could attack for 2. I could play Aether Vial and Dockhand. Or if I play Aether Vial, I could still... Okay, so Vial, or Dockhand, Vial, activate. I only get 2 ports. If I play Dockhand or Vial, I can port. Okay, so I think I'm going to play this 3rd Dockhand. And then port them 3 times. And someday I'll draw a Lord and they'll just die. Alright, tap the 2-mana land. Yeah, I'm just going after all the 2-mana lands here. If they ever find an Amulet of Vigor or an Urza Saga, that's the real clock. Alright, no plays, no land drops at all. I'm really glad we're a Rishadan Port build right now. Lord. Okay, so port tapping 1, 2, 3, 4. I can port all 4 of their lands now. Or I could attack for 1 and port 3 of their lands. I think I'm just committed to porting forever. Port you. Oh, I can be attacking for 1 and port 4 lands because I have no... Alright, I missed a damage. Whoops. Alright, yeah. You're at 16. Go. If I draw a land, I can port 5 lands. And if I don't draw a land, I can start chipping for 1. And they're on a 16-turn clock. No! Uh-oh. That's bad. They named Dockhand. Okay, so the beatdowns are coming. And I have 2 ports still. You can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they can Primeval Titan next turn. This is the time to draw Lord of Atlantis, if there ever was one. And there always is one. This is why I couldn't play 6. You need 8 in your deck. Nice. Alright, here they come. And this makes all your stuff islands forever. So here's those. Here's Rishadan Dockhand, number 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so they can cast Primeval Titan anyway. I guess. And if they get Valakuts, they could just start picking off my creatures. Yeah, I'm not sure if there is a way to screw them off of anything important right now. Pretty sure there's just not. So they're going to cast Primeval Titan, probably win the game. Yeah, with one of my 8 Lord of Atlantises, at any point, this would have been a clean thrashing. We did slow the game down to a point where we allowed ourselves to draw Lord of Atlantis, and it just didn't happen. Alright, here comes prime time. Probably getting just like 2 fetch lands, and then ulting my 2 Tide Shapers, and then next turn they fetch, and win other ways. Or they could get 2... No, they get 2 more Karus, which pick up 2 lands. That triggers 2 Valakuts. Then with all their land drops, with Exploration and Dryad, yeah, I'm dead. Alright. There's not even a draw to get me out of this anymore. That was a lot of sweet Rishadan ports against Amulet Titan, though. Not bad. Submerge is a banger here, when they want all their lands to be every color. Merfolk Trickster. That can also make all their lands not a color anymore. Also lets me get a big attack. Like that 2/4 body was just brutal. Suspend can remove Primeval Titan or Dryad from play briefly. Echoing Truth. I assume this has to be an Urza Saga deck. So I want an answer to constructs. And they are also a Cavern of Souls deck, so I think that Force of Will might be a little bit hopeful that it's going to do anything. And I should be controlling them with Rishadan Ports and Wastelands and Tide Shapers. Curse Catcher is probably pretty bad in the matchup. So do I also want the Suspends? Like, how many reactive cards can I fit in my deck is the question here. But Suspend clearing that Dryad, like, if that Dryad was out of play for 2 turns and I just got a couple turns of crunching with all my creatures, I think I could have won it. So I'm gonna go in on that. And True Name Nemesis is actually pretty medium here, because this is the type of deck where they're gonna dumpster me with a prime time or they're not. And having a 3/1 Progenitus doesn't really change the math on that. Right, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna keep this. It's obviously just like extremely threat light, and by threat light I mean has 0 threats in it, but specifically for this matchup, 2 Wastelands and a Port is not bad. Oh, you have Wasteland in your deck too. Cool. So Port or Vial goes up. So I can play Wasteland, but they could just waste my waste and then do what they were gonna do. So I think I want to play my Rishadan Port and port them, like port their Wasteland, force the activation. And I have to play something. So here's this. Right, I'm gonna tap the Wasteland. Right, they let it get tapped. That's cool. Right, so if they have something like Exploration, they can probably go pretty hard this turn. But if they don't, I have Wasteland for this Gruul Turf, which hopefully will put them in the dumpster for a little while. But Exploration to pull ahead of my Wastelands is a way to lose this game. Green Sun Zenith for 0. Alright, so Dryad Arbor is coming. Okay, so I have Wasteland for the Gruul Turf and Port for the Arbor. Alright, True Name Nemesis. Boarded a bunch of them out, but it's a welcome sight here. And port this. Yeah, Wasteland is a serious banger. That card does not exist in Modern to keep Amulet of Vigor in check. The Amulet deck is weird and powerful, and there's a good chance that they have lines that can just power through multiple Wastelands. But I'm just gonna stick my plan. They're dead in 8 turns to this True Name Nemesis. Let's hope that their Karus fail to function. Though them having their own Wastelands to waste my waste so I can't just like sit it in play is a little bit troublesome. So they have Saga. Yes, use this ability. Alright. I love drawing Lord of Atlantis right when I've decided to not use that ability. So port, I can suspend Dryad Arbor and then port with Port, put in True Name Nemesis. I can deal with Saga later. So I think I want to suspend the Dryad Arbor. You also can't cast lands, so it's weird that I just gave a land suspend. I have no idea how that's going to work. Is it just gone forever, or does it come back later? I don't know. This is a great mystery to me. Alright, so Saga ticks up, but they don't have mana to activate it. There's Cavern. They're also not going to have mana to activate next turn. Alright, so Shep, I boarded out my counter spells, so that's not the axis I've chosen to play this game on. So I've clearly done something right there if they're on Shepherds. Alright, this is going to be a no forever. Don't have any 4s in the deck. I can suspend Shep as well. Still can't cast Lord of Atlantis. It was a bummer. At this point, I can sit the Wasteland in play, because if they waste my waste, I can waste back. And they can't make a construct. They can tutor up Pithing Needle, but I have stuff for that. I have the Echoing Truth that can buy a little bit of time. I guess I could waste in response and then they don't even get that. Like, they could get a second amulet, but alright, I'm gonna let them have it and hope that the diversity of threats is good enough. Like, they can name Port or Wasteland, but they can't name both. I can also surprise them. Like, if they name like Wasteland with this, but they also have a Wasteland in their hand, which is a little awkward. I don't know. I guess if they... I'm trying to think of how this goes sideways on me. Like, they only have one amulet, and they're tapped for the turn. They've already made their land drop. So I guess if they go, like... If they name Wasteland with Pithing Needle, and then their land for turn is, like, Selesnya Sanctuary, and they tap for 2, and play Exploration and a second amulet, then they can play another Karu, untap it twice, play another Exploration, and then cast Primetime. Okay, so they've named Rishadan Port with this. You got me good there. Yeah, now I am sort of blue screwed, so a blue land would be great. Alright, you did not name Rishadan Dockhand, you blew it. So I could hold up Echoing Truth, or I could deploy my Dockhand, and I think Dockhand is the play. I'm still holding up this Wasteland, which is going to cause trouble for them. So here's this. Alright, moment of truth. Does this work? Can you cast a land? Apparently you can. Or no, it's in exile. Alright, it does come back. Okay. It is summoning sick though. And I have another suspend. Second amulet's pretty scary. But I can still Wasteland their Karu before it untaps the first time. Still looking for a blue land. Okay, sweet. Found a blue land. Now the question is it better to jam Lord of Atlantis or leave up all these blue spells? Because I have Dockhand that can port. So if Dockhand ports off port, I'm holding up Wasteland and I can play Lord of Atlantis. Yeah, I think playing Lord... Does that change the clock? What order do I need to do this in? And does it matter? So they're on a 5-turn clock right now. If this is a 4/4, it's a 4-turn clock, or 4 power creatures, a 4-turn clock. But I can attack for 3 times, and then on a bet 5. So I can Lord next turn and still take the same turn off the clock. So 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. That's 4, 8, 12, 15. Yeah, so if I play Lord of Atlantis next turn, I'm good. But then if I draw another blue card, I'm going to wish I did that. I think that the Dockhand is going to hold here. Like the Dockhand plus Wasteland combo. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to dock the Dryad Arbor. And I'm holding up Wasteland for a Karu that they might play. But we know they have their Wasteland as well. So maybe I'm supposed to port Forest, suspend Dryad Arbor, and that would take them off green that I can see. Like, Exploration is the way that they overpower what I'm doing right now. There's Ancient Tomb. Zenith for 3. So this is going to get the Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which gives them another land drop. Yeah, I'm not responding with Wasteland. I have Suspend for their Dryad, which might blow them out, I hope. Like, if they think that their spells can't be countered, but countering isn't the counterplay that I have, then if they go for like a Primeval Titan, get 2 Valakuts, I suspend Dryad, and then they don't have mountains anymore. That could be a line through this game. Alright, this is getting a little dicey. Ooh, a master. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, okay, they're just... Oh no, they don't have islands. Oh, they do have islands. Yeah, get out of here. You're dead. Okay. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, okay. GG. They gave themselves a bunch of islands, and now they're dead. Yeah, the giving yourself islands off that Green Sun Zenith while tapping Ancient Tomb was cut a whole lot of turns off that clock. Alright, nice. So, my read to cut Force of Will, I definitely think is right now that we've seen Allosaurus Shepherd on top of the cavern. So, that is what they think this game is about, but that's not what I'm giving them. Pithing Needle can name one of my 3 areas of pressure between the two different ports and the Wasteland, so I think that I'm in the right place here. It's just got to line up right. Honestly, it's on them to figure this out. I think in like reasonable distributions of our hands, I'm favored in this matchup, but something like Exploration can just snap it in half. Once Upon a Time to kick it off. I've kept this hand with a 1-drop into a bunch of disruptive things. No Aether Vial here. No double blue, but I think the Port and Wasteland are what I need. Selesnya's Sanctuary revealed. Oh god, they had the Exploration. And straight into Urza's Saga. Okay. Alright, this is tough because I could just lose. Though, I think I need to get on the board at least a little bit. Like Selesnya's Sanctuary. Alright, yeah, I'm not going to win this game if I have no material on the board. And I think I have one turn, because they don't have Amulet yet, but Saga will get it if they don't have it. But if they just play Amulet right now and just go like Karu, though I guess that's still only 5. Yeah, if I can fade Amulet, the Exploration's not that bad. But there's definitely room here to get completely outmuscled. They have Allosaurus Shep, making my Curse Catcher look bad. Selesnya Sanctuary picked up their Forest, and Forest is back. Carpet, that's pretty good. Alright, yeah, I do have a lot of islands in my deck. Less than you'd think, though. So now I have the choice of... Ooh, I can Wasteland Saga so they can't get Amulet. I can Wasteland Sanctuary so they can't make mana. Like, do I think that... Like, what do I think the axis this game is going to be played on is? And I think Wasteland is the play, because the Suspends can knock out a Construct token or a Primeval Titan if necessary. Yeah, because this land's going to die next turn, so I'm just going to Wasteland this Sanctuary. Take them off those 2 mana. Attack with my Curse Catcher. Like, go ahead, trade your Shep. I'll take it. I didn't think so. And then we just pass with Suspend up. In case they do produce like a Dryad or Primetime this turn, I can get rid of it. And then I have Tideshaper for next turn, which actually puts some beats on the clock. Yeah, if they use their Carpet mana to make a Construct on the way out here, I can just suspend the Construct and that's gone. Really hope they do that. That means they're not using their mana on other stuff. Nice. Alright. They made a Construct. There's Amulet and Wasteland. So I'm gonna suspend the Construct, and it's gone forever, because that is how tokens work. So they can waste my Rishadan Port. I think now that they have Wasteland... Oh, and they missed a land drop, kind of, because of Exploration, so I'm gonna play Silvergill Adept here, because I do want to draw more lands and not get wasted out of this game. It'll be interesting to see if they can afford to waste me, because they did not make a land drop, or they did not make both the land drops they could have made. They could just be slow rolling for a combo turn. They have Vesuva. Vesuva's not great, unless they want to like pivot onto being the port deck. Okay, they copied Forest. Like, they could have copied my Rishadan Port, wasted my port, and then ported my island and just been a beatdown deck, but I'm ahead on board. So that's good there. Here comes the give all. Oh no, it's Ramanep. That's pretty good. Okay, that's much better than the thing they did last game that killed them instantly. Alright, so pretty sure I want a Tideshaper. Ooh, Aether Vial does change things a bit. Alright, so I'm going to play Vial, and I think I want to suspend Ramanep Excavator and then attack for 3 and start getting my beats in. Let's get that out of here and attack for 3. This elf can almost pump itself and become a 5/5. If they come up with 2 more mana this turn, it can definitely do that. Saga's on 2, so they're going to get some constructs if they want them. Main facing a construct. Oh, because they have Carpet mana. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. That probably means their hand's not doing much else. Looks like it doesn't need to. Drawing a land so I can Tide Shaper with Kicker and give them an island right now is a big deal, because my multi-turn plan here is to Islandwalk them, but they're going to need an island for that to be a thing. Okay, cool. So I can Tide Shaper. What tide needs to be shaped the most? There is some sort of interaction between Urza Saga and Tide Shaper, and becoming a different sort of land that like kills it instantly. Like, I'm pretty sure if there's a Blood Moon in play and you play Urza Saga, it just dies. But I don't fully understand that interaction, and I'm not gonna take a risk on something I don't totally understand right now. So I'm gonna Tide Shaper with Kicker. I just need them to have an island. I think taking them off green, like just knock out this basic, makes some sense, because they can't counter Primetime anyway due to the they're Hellbent. Okay, so I can trade the Silver Gull Adept right now. They can't make any artifacts in response, so here it comes. All right, they are taking the trade. Maybe that was bad, but removing that from play at least is not nothing. All right, so they are top decking, but they have the Urza Saga Ramanap Excavator loop here, and they can get Pithing Needle and name Aether Vial, which is pretty strong. So yeah, the top of their deck's scary, and they're just looping sagas now, so I have to tempo them out with Lord Master, which makes me think that that trade I made last turn might have been a mistake. Though at least this way they're not attacking. Oh, tricky stuff. This is going to be a tight one. Just gotta hope that they're draw step bricks, because I can beat looping sagas. Like, they're on a pretty short clock here, but I can't beat like Primetime on top of that. Let's hope they just name. Oh nope, they named Aether Vial like they're supposed to. But I was hoping they would just name like Port or Wasteland to get ahead of something, but there's nothing to get ahead of here. Like, you're losing to Aether Vial. Make the play you can make. Oh no, did they draw Green Sun Zenith off the top? Okay. All right. Well, we've lost this one. We needed to fade some, like, one or two draw steps there, and we just clearly did not. All right. If they just draw, like, you know, some Karus over the next 2 turns, actually Karus pick up their island, so maybe they had a lot of good draws, but they didn't need to draw specifically the game winner that turn. So that was a good match. Our deck was better set up than normal to fight Amulet, but didn't quite get there because this deck is extremely good. I'm on the draw in round number 2 with a hand that is all the way in on Aether Vial, and I think I'm going to keep it. Like, Wasteland and Port do stuff, even if the Aether Vial gets countered and I have to slow this game down a little bit. And obviously this is risky. I would prefer that it had an island in it, but here we are. A Windswept Teeth deck of some variety. What are we working with? This has to be some kind of Bant deck, because Delver wouldn't play Windswept Heath. Like, I don't think this is Rug Delver, because that can't fetch Volcanic Island. So it's got to be like Bant, maybe something like Infect, I guess it could be. Now the game is, do I just Schwace them and hope to cheese? Or do I start putting Aether Vials on the stack? I'll take my cheese where I can get it. Bang. Just like, because they played Ponder and didn't develop a threat that turn, that makes me more inclined to, like, we could just play the same turn again. Like, worst case scenario, they play a land, then I play a land, and like, we just play that turn cycle again. Best case scenario, they just lose the game on the spot. Drawing the second Aether Vial and the island in those first 2 draw steps was huge. Because now if they counter this, or even if they counter both, like, I'm actually playing the game, which I wasn't doing otherwise. They fetch Tundra in response. Is this going to be... Do they have a clean, like, Spell Pierce? Or is it going to be, like, Brainstorm for Force? Alright, they're going for it. And this is a Bant deck. Tropical Island and Tundra confirmed. Kind of hope they do force this. Oh, they have Daze. Okay, alright, alright. So they're a Daze deck. Is this Bant Delver? Is that a thing? Whatever it is, they've taken a Wasteland and picked up a land with days against my 8 Rishadan Port plus Wasteland deck. Let's play. Let's go. So Tundra's in their hand. Basic Island Ponder. Alright. This deck's weird. This could be the Matt Vuk Monastery Mentor Chrome Mox deck, but if they are a Chrome Mox deck and they have mulled to 5 and not played a Chrome Mox, they're in trouble. Alright, so I'm going to play Rishadan Port. I'm going to lead on Curse Catcher, because this way if they force my Vial, I can counter that. And I can also counter Daze with my Curse Catcher. Like, I would have preferred, obviously, to just leave up 1 mana to pay for Daze and not lose Curse Catcher, but this plays around Force of Will in a huge way. This is the best Curse Catcher's ever going to get. Ka-chow. There it is. Sequencing. We got a Brainstorm out of that? Wow. I think I would have just taken my medicine. Like, I'm not taking a 2-for-1 and losing a Brainstorm in that situation ever. Literally never would I make that play. It's just like, okay, Curse Catcher's on board. I'll figure out another way to deal with this. Like, I'm not him-to-tarocking myself off of a Curse Catcher. But I'll take it from this side of the game. Noble Hierarch. Okay, this could be like a Stoneblade deck with True Name Nemesis, in which case this is going to get a little dicier than it was a second ago. So I could take them off green. Well, they're not really off anything. So I can port them, or I could play Tide Shaper. I could Silvergill Adept and draw a card, but that's, I think, spending 2 mana on this 1-drop. Like, this doesn't combo with Aether Vial, but it does use all my mana, so I'm into that. Taking them off this green will slow down the back end of Uro, and also it'll stop Endurance for a turn. But Noble Hierarch, obviously, they're not really off anything. It's just takes them off double green. Stoneforge Mystic confirmed. We're going to have to beat Numazawa's Jitte. It's going to be tough. Batterskull. Do they already have the Jitte, or do they just think we're at a Batterskull phase of the game? That's interesting. So I'm going to Vial and Dockhand. Dockhand's in. And I am ticking up Vial. I know I have a Fistful at 1-drops, but Vialing in Silvergill Adept is just so good. I'm going to do it main phase, because I would like to hit a land drop. Zin. True Name Nemesis. Alright, that's what I was actually looking for against this likely Umezawa's Jitte deck. So, if their hand is Jitte, if I port them, they can just put it in, then they can equip, but then they would need a land. Alright, I'm gonna attack with Tide Shaper. Yeah, this 2-2, they don't have good blocks on the 2-2. And then I can play Curse Catcher. Do I want to slow down? What do I want to slow down here? I think I actually want to play the second Dockhand, because Port can activate the other Dockhand. Oops, I don't want to add one. Oh yeah, I do actually. There we go. I'm going to tap the Tundra. They'll probably just activate Stoneforge right now, and we'll find out if they do have a Batterskull or not. Or we know they have Batterskull. We'll find out if they have Jitte. Wow, they just let that get tapped. Now I don't need to worry about Jitte this turn at all. I guess they could cast Jitte and equip, but then I get to force it. Alright. They're wasting me? Does that make any sense? I guess that takes me off the double port, sure. Alright, that makes some sense. I'll buy it. This up to 3 because I'm in the business of not dying to Batterskull. And the port hands have Islandwalk, so I think it's time to party with those. And then, so I'm going to play Curse Catcher. I'm basically accepting that if they have Supreme Verdict, I lose, but I really don't think that this Stoneforge Mystic Noble Hierarch deck's going to ramp into Supreme Verdict. Like, ramping into Supreme Verdict with your mana dorks is not really the way to build a Magic deck, at least not in Game 1. Game 2, that can become a reasonable thing to do. Like, if it's going to be worse for your opponent than it is for you, which is the case here. My creatures have Islandwalk. Good luck. Every single landing play is an island. Creatures can attack whoever they want. Alright, and then True Name Nemesis will brick Batterskull in combat. If they have Umezawa's Jitte, it'll control that as well. Well, 5/5. Here it comes. Yes, True Name, name you. Dream Name Nemesis, both good and bad, but is the best card in and the best card against Stoneblade, historically. There we go. Stop that from happening. I'm winning this race right now. I have Counterspell in hand. Let's draw Svalin, or another True Name. Those are the two draws that I want right now. I'll take an Aether Vial, though. That resets the chain, lets me play this one land hand a little longer. Dockhand's in there. They don't have enough cards in their hand to like cast Brainstorm and then daze it 3 times to get out of the Islandwalk. Force of Negation. 1 card left. So, do I think that like Swords to Plowshares or yeah, I'm gonna force this. Like I think that having Aether Vial in play so I can actually deploy creatures I draw is gonna be more important than like picking off a random Plow or Brainstorm. Because them being a Stoneforge Mystic build, I don't think I'm gonna have to play around Supreme Verdict or Terminus in game 1. And even if they have them, having 2 Aether Vials in play is the way to crawl back. So, alright. I've committed to this line. Can't take it back now. And we are just a Lord of Atlantis away from exploding, though having Force of Will to protect my Lord of Atlantis is nice. Okay. That's gone. Good thing I fought over that one. These Dockhands are a pretty fast clock. Alright, Force is back. So, 2, 4, you go to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the final turn of activity, I get to attack with True Name Nemesis as well. Like, I don't get to go in every turn because I need to mitigate the Batterskull, but they go to 8 here, they go to 6 on the following turn, and then 4. So this takes, the True Name takes 1 turn off the clock. The fact that it can turn sideways when it's time to party. Right, so I'm still winning a race against Kaldra, and I'm still bricking Umezawa's Jitte. I guess they could diversify which of their creatures are holding weapons. Like, if they equip Stoneforge Mystic and just, like, suicide it in combat, then I'll have to choose between giving them counters on their Jitte or absorbing Batterskull lifelink damage. Which is actually a decision that is kind of tricky. Let's just draw Lord of Atlantis right now and win the game. Alright, Force of Will is here. So, now what does this game look like? I think it looks like me attacking with my Dockhands. So, Umezawa's Jitte gains 4 life, or does other things. Phyrexian Germ token connecting gains 4 life straight up. So if I have to stop one or the other of these things from happening, I want to stop counters from getting on Jitte. They're also in the Abyss with the Jitte because they have to attack with a creature that's going to end up leaving play. Alright, so I'm just going to eat the Jitte. They gain 4, but I mostly don't care about that. I mean, I care. That messes up my clock, obviously, but I'm still, that doesn't change the math of like Lord of Atlantis FTW at any point. And eventually they'll run out of creatures they can equip Jitte to. Put it on Stoneforge again, sure. I'm going to leave Vial on 2 because this is where it needs to be for what I want to be doing, which is draw one of my 8 lords. Obviously drew a 3-drop instantly. That's fine. Here come my docks. Now this Force of Will feels pretty good to have. And Svalin draws cards when it attacks, so I think that that is a thing I want in play. I will take Vial up to 3 this turn and get Svalin down. Plus being a 3/4 just rumbles with everything. And Ward 1 is pretty good against Jitte. I mean, they have a lot of lands in play, but it does slow it down considerably. Alright, they're going back into the Abyss again. Block the Jete again. And now their 2 Stone Forges are out of play, so if I double block Batterskull at some point to remove it from play, they can't pick it up and redeploy easily. Alright, JK. Here's that. Let's see if they have Cauldra. I hope not. Though Sword of Fire and Ice is also bad. Maybe I should have forced that. Okay. I'm glad they have Cauldra and not Sword of Fire and Ice. But it's all pretty bad. Okay, so Vial will tick up, which is dangerous because if I draw Lord right now, could have won the game, obviously, but I just didn't instead. And I'm just going to put Svalin into play. And Cauldra has First Strike, Trample, Indestructible, Haste, and whenever this deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. So that hits me for 5 a few times. And activate, equip Jete. They can still do everything they want to do on their turn. Oh, no, yes, they can. If I port them once, yeah, if I port them once, they can't equip with, oh, they equip the Jete to the Cauldra. Okay, whoops. Yeah, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I needed to just leave Vial on 2 there, it seems. Play to my outs versus, oh, forgot to even activate the port. I'm just like, it's spiraling out of control right now. I'm just like, obviously I drew Master. Fuck my life. Alright, luckily I don't think it's gonna matter a whole lot. Oh, if I port them, no, they're just gonna use their lands. Damn it! Missing this port lets them activate Jete once through Ward, which, yeah, I just like forgot to activate my Rishadan Port, and that's gonna be a huge beating. Alright, so I'm gonna block Batterskull and let just, they can re-equip Batterskull next turn onto the trample creature, so there's no reason to block and kill it. Alright. There's my block. I think I would have got them with Ward if I ported them. Like, I don't know. Yeah, now we're losing this game. I need to draw a Cavern of Souls, I think. Come on, Cavern for the win. Or I'll take an island, because I do have Force of Will. Blue source for the win. Fuck! Okay, so if Valen attacks, they eat it with Germ. But if it doesn't, I lose anyway. Oh, it is indestructible if I have a million Merfolk. Oh, I should have... Oh no, that gets exiled. Okay, I forgot this thing's indestructible. Oh. Okay, deep breath. Gotta unscramble my brain and remember what all my cards do. Gonna attack with my indestructible creature and draw a card. Cavern of Souls, good draw. Now the question is, can I put enough damage on the board or in front of Cauldra to absorb lethal damage? So I play Cavern of Souls. I name Merfolk. Now what happens? I can play Silvergill Adept. So this is a 9/9 trample. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 toughness I can put in front of it. So I can survive the turn, but I lose basically everything. If I cast Silvergill Adept, I reveal my Master of the Pearl Trident, and they know it's like now or never. So if I put True Name in front of the Germ, and then I have to put... I think I have to just cast my Silvergill Adept and show them that I have Master. Or can I cast Master and just have more power and toughness on the board? But then they can use Jete to just kill the Master. Alright, I'm gonna... I had that window where I could have rolled the dice, and I didn't. And I had this window to draw a blue source, but I didn't. Okay, Wasteland, not helpful here. Yeah, if that Silvergill Adept drew a second True Name Nemesis, that helps the cause a lot. I hope they start minusing with their Jite and not just buffing Cauldra. Doesn't look like they're falling for it. Okay, so figure out these blocks. True Name Nemesis goes here. And then this is a 9 power creature, or can be. So I have to put 4 toughness in front of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the bare minimum? So they put it to 9. I take 5. I go to 1. I think this is the best I can do and still have a board presence on the other end. I hope I've done that math correctly. Okay, so they are buffing with Jitte, which I like. Yeah, I like them pumping with Jitte because that, what does that do? That's less life they can gain on their turn. So putting me to 3 versus putting me to 1, I think they should have just let their Jitte have the maximum amount of counters on it. Why are they? It doesn't have double strike, it has first strike. Yeah, I think they thought their card had double strike, which it does not have. Whoops. Alright, that was a freebie. No counter on Jitte there. It turns out nobody knows how combat with Cauldron works, including people who have Cauldron in their deck. But having 2 counters on Jitte is enough to remove Master of the Pearl Trident, which is enough to Islandwalk, to remove Islandwalk from my creatures. Yeah, that's probably it. I'm trying to think of what card in my deck I could draw that helps here. Certainly not Basic Island. So, alright, I can Wasteland them and port them, and then they're down 2 mana, which is still mana they can use to get rid of Master, like even through Ward, that will remove the Master. So I think I am going to start with a Wasteland though. Or I can't waste and port. That doesn't make any sense. So I'll take them off this non-island land. Oh right, and I don't have Vial on 2. All of that requires me to have Vial on 2 as well. And Swords to Plowshares, they still have enough mana to like Swords to Plowshares, pay the ward, get forced, and activate Jitte a bunch of times. Alright, -1. Can go in with Svalin here. I think I have to just only go in with Svalin, because they can kill the Master in a variety of ways, so I'm just going to draw a card and hope it does anything. Oh, there goes that. Master's gone. And okay, I'm dead. Yeah, I made a couple of small errors. Like I made one small error that I was busy thinking about and then made several small ones over the course of like 1.5 turn cycles in the late part of that game. And also just the do I tick up Vial for the card in my hand that I can see, or do I just leave Vial on 2 in case I draw Lord? But the card in my hand can draw cards to find Lord. Like, maybe I didn't play to my outs there, or maybe I just got punished. I don't know. But, alright. Shake it off. There's another game coming. Alright, I want Trickster, Suspend, Echoing Truth, and Submerge here. Because keeping Jitte from connecting is the whole game. Like, we had Batterskull beat, we had Cauldron beat. I think we might even beat Sword of Fire and Ice in that position, but we're not beating Umezawa's Jitte. That card is unbeatable. So I don't think I want Force of Will for the matchup. I think I just want to like pound through, play to the board. True Name Nemesis is great. The Mana Denial is pretty good. I don't want to draw 2 Aether Vials. Like I want 1 kind of early, but I don't want to draw 2 in the game. So with this, actually, this particular build of Merfolk, Aether Vial is at an even higher premium than normal because we want to be using our lands as spells the whole time. So what's the cut then? Am I going too deep on sideboard? So Echoing Truth and... So unless they have Sword of Fire and Ice, which they would have to have in their sideboard because it's not in their main deck, they wouldn't play 4 weapons main deck. So these 3 cards I'm bringing in answer something that's holding Jitte in the same way that this would answer the Jitte itself or something that's holding it. In True Name and all of the Lords are just so important. Maybe it's Curse Catcher that gets a little wonky. The least good of the things in my deck. Tide Shaper I still think is better than Curse Catcher because screwing them off colors is relevant. Alright, let's go in like this. And we'll find out soon if they have Supreme Verdict. Right, this one is pretty hateful of mana. I'm gonna just run Tide Shaper out there as a 1/1, because it will probably be a 2/2 on their first land drop. And then I can get pacing. So there's Tide Shaper. I'm rooting for their hand to not contain Noble Hierarch. I think Noble Hierarch actually secretly won them that whole game, last game. Just there was a number of opportunities where that was the difference maker. Okay, so they played around Wasteland and played into Port. That's how Wasteland and Port work. What's good against one is bad against the other, and vice versa. And I'll tap their basic forest. Ported. So they can't play without islands forever. And Windswept Teeth doesn't fetch basic island. So I'm going to run my Wasteland out here. If you want blue mana, you're going to have to burn for it. Port the basic. Leaf up Wasteland. This Tide Shaper's doing 20. Get ready. Maybe they'll just lean into Wasteland. Just like, alright, it's going to get me. Don't have two of them, but I do. But they can just fetch one of each basic now. Nice. Alright, let's see what... Oh, this is Stoneforge Mystic. I was like, what horrible creature are they going to cast? And obviously it's just Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. I can take them off white, though, to put in whatever weapon they search for. So I'm going to go to my turn. There's no reason to Wasteland now. I can see what I draw, see if it changes any decisions. I can attack for 2. In we go. Bang. And then Wasteland your Savannah. And Wasteland your Tundra. And Rishadan Port your Forest. And let's see if they still have land drops to make. Because I still have ports and wastelands to play. I'm ready. Are you? There's no way I have 3 wastelands, right? Wink, wink. Okay, so I can wait for them to fetch. And then suspend Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, I think I'm going to pass here. Oh no, I just suspend the Germ. What am I even saying? I let them do what they want to do here. And suspend the Germ. Yeah, I don't even care. And if they fetch basic planes here, then they're not going to have blue mana. If they even have a basic planes. Or it looks like they don't even have one. Okay, so they can put in Batterskull. And then I can waste them into the sun. And suspend the Germ token. And then we're pretty stable. The way that this fails is if they have a counterspell for my suspend. I'm still going to waste them because that at least takes off days. And okay, so suspend this creature. This will be like win on the spot, or maybe we play more. Okay, so I'm going to name Merfolk with this. And is it better to port them or give them blue? I think it's better to port them, at least for now. Like, playing the game on 1 green versus on 1 blue is a very different game of Legacy. Tide Shaper is good for 12 so far, or good for 8 so far. They're at 12. It's the only thing I've done. Okay, now they have an island. So I can take them off green. I don't mind giving them double blue. Like, taking them off green does matter. Didn't attack, interesting. Why not? Okay, so attack for 2. Yep, didn't block, didn't attack. It's like it's not even in play. Then Tide Shaper with Kicker. Gonna turn their forest into also an island. And then I can port one of their islands on their turn. They're brainstorming in response, you got it. So they brainstormed, then they lose their forest. I Rishadan Port them in their upkeep. I'll go after the actual island. I don't know why. I don't think it matters, but here we are. Give them false hope that maybe they have green mana. Make it look like they can do something that they can't actually do. Brazen Bee. Okay, you got me. You got me real good. So that takes 2 damage off the board temporarily. Which, if that's their best play, I'm in for. Okay. They're not giving me the flawless victory. They are turning their Stoneforge Mystic sideways. For the first time. I guess it's been sideways once before, but it wasn't attacking. That was a good draw. So, another Cavern on Merfolk.
And then I'm going to attack for 2, play True Name Nemesis, and port their green. Actually, do I need to port green? I guess there's not really green instants in the deck. Yeah, so I'm going to just play True Name. Can't be countered. Name you. And it's a 2-turn clock with Tideshaper in play or not. Yeah, so I'm going after Forest because they could have Brainstorm or, you know, like Petty Theft, or like it's more likely they can use blue mana in their upkeep than green. And this gives them like Ponder. It gives them blue sorceries that I didn't have to give them, but yeah, they had Brainstorm, so they could have just used that mana. It would have made their Brainstorm a little worse, but I don't think that's a big deal here. I think something like Supreme Verdict is their way out of this game, and with 2 ports and they only have 2 lands, they're not casting Supreme Verdict. It's also clear they don't have a basic plains in their deck. Like the way they fetched, either that or they just leaned into Wasteland and they're just like, fuck it, if you have it, you have it. Alright, Windswept Teeth. Let's see if there is a basic plains in the deck. Though at this point it doesn't matter because I have Port and not Wasteland. Oh, are they out of white sources completely? How is that possible? Just with Noble Hierarch, maybe? That's a thing? I don't know. I'm just going to attack for 5 and play Rishadan Port. So I can port 2 lands and Merfolk Trickster the Noble Hierarch. Yeah, okay. They know they're dead. Suspend was insane. Really into that. That was great. Just permanently answering Batterskull. I don't think I'm changing anything about this deck. And they probably have Uro, but I'm not going to bring in Graveyard Hate because I think I can just overpower an Uro. And back in with the same 60. This hand's pretty awkward. The Cavern is great, but it doesn't have 2 lands, and this is not an island for Submerge. Though the curving up into Lord of Atlantis is great. This is what I was talking about in the deck tech of like, is this a mulligan situation? Should I trust my 22 land deck to produce one of its 21 lands in my first 2 draw steps? 8 of them don't make colored mana though. I think I'm going to mulligan this based on lessons learned from previous things, and immediately rewarded because this hand is just infinitely better. Disciplined mulligans. So they have Flooded Strand. If they have turn 1 Noble Hierarch, they have to play into Wasteland. Oh, Ig Noble Hierarch. Now they're really committed to the grind here. Ooh, Wasteland. So I can Submerge Ignoble Hierarch and waste them, or I could just waste them, or I could ignore all of this. I think I want to play my island. I mean, if they just jam True Name Nemesis on turn 2, I'm going to wish I wasted them, but that's not a card I've seen yet. These 2 sources don't make white anyway. And saving the Submerge for a surgical situation might be good. Like, I could Submerge Stoneforge Mystic now, and then whatever... it gets shuffled away with the search off of Stoneforge Mystic. But I think that True Name Nemesis is the path forward in this game. They got Batterskull, sure. I can just submerge the Germ. So, yeah, I think this is fine. Like, if my hand looked different, maybe there would be a different Submerge, but the True Name army, I think, is where I want to be right now. If I draw something that I can do with 1 mana... Alright, nope. True Name army it is. Merfolk. Master. I'm just curving up fish now. I can Wasteland them at the top end to make sure I don't die to Supreme Verdict once I'm ahead. But Submerge Batterskull, True Name Nemesis. I don't even need a Submerge Batterskull. I have a 4-power True Name Nemesis. Oh shit, Wasteland? That's in your deck? That's cheating. Oh, have I seen that? Yeah, I think they wasted a Rishadan Port in game 1. But okay, that was really good. It's fine. That's less fine. It's hard to submerge that one. But that's okay. I just need a blue source. Have my own Wasteland. Have a Dockhand. Some protection from colors here. I'm going to waste them off white. That could slow down the Batterskull's arrival. That takes me another turn away from True Name Nemesis. Like if I just draw blue source next turn, I don't get to True Name, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. And I could reasonably clock this board through their True Name, though the Exalted is sort of a tiebreaker. If they crack their fetch land to get white mana, I can
Submerge Stoneforge Mystic in response. And then they don't have white mana to activate Stoneforge Mystic, and their Stoneforge Mystic gets shuffled away. So they're brainstorming here, looking for Daze maybe. But even getting this Dazed is better than getting my Submerge Dazed. So they could have 2 Dazes. Maybe they boarded their Dazes out. I don't know. We'll find out together. That resolved. Found the Lord. This isn't doing anything else, so... if they daze my Submerge and end up fetching Savannah, I could lose my Dockhand to a Batterskull right here, so I'm gonna play around the worst case scenario. Right, put that in your deck. So they could also Red Elemental Blast with their Ignoble Hierarch. Okay. It just resolved. So their thing is gone. You can fail to find, you can't fail to search. So the Stoneforge Mystic is shuffled away either way here. That's strong Swords to Plowshares. Messes up my clock pretty good. Yeah, I really have no answer to True Name Nemesis, and the fact that they're ahead on board with the double Exalted is a huge problem. That Wasteland on my Cavern just totally changed this game. And they're threatening just like Umezawa's Jitte at any point. Is unbeatable. Ugh. The term too little too late comes to mind here. Here comes these. So I'm on a 3-turn clock. I get 2 more draw steps here. Like, my last turn of the game is when Aether Vial could put this Lord of Atlantis in. You could also hardcast Batterskull next turn. But I think I need my mana too much to try to waste them off of that. So I'm just going to play Aether Vial. So if I draw like Cavern of Souls next turn, I play True Name. So I go to 8, play True Name. I go to 3, Vial in Lord of Atlantis. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's still not enough damage. Yeah, I just don't have a way through there, True Name Nemesis. I had to race it, and the Wasteland stopped the race. Oh, and they just have a 3-power flyer. Yeah, I can't win this game. GG's opponent. That game one where my brain just short-circuited for a second, and I missed a Rishadan Port, which, like... Yeah, we all saw game one. I don't need to talk about it again, but, like, that was a case of, like, cascading mistakes. It wasn't tilt, because I wasn't, like, mad. It wasn't like I was so mad that my brain turned off. It was just like, oh no, I messed this up, blah, 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 blah. Then, like, certain things happened afterwards. And there was also that other decision in game one of, do I take up Vial for the card I can see, or do I leave it on 2 for the best draw in my deck in case I hit it? And, yeah, tough spot, but that was a close match. Could have broken either way. This game could not broken either way. They had this one firmly in the bag. On to the next round. I'm on the play in round number 3. Nope, no I'm not. I'm on the draw in round number 3, and I'm going to keep this hand. This doesn't cheese at all. It's just a curve. Like, I have Dockhand into Tideshaper into True Name. Looks like we're playing against lands, which is either great or terrible. Probably terrible, based on this start. Hopefully Tideshaper can do work, but... yeah, sometimes, like, Merfolk, the thing that Merfolk does in Legacy is just a proactive creature-based thing, where a lot of decks have, like, cantrips and counters and counterplay and removal and, like, just a few win conditions, and Merfolk tries to just punch win conditions into play and win the game that way, which is good against some decks and really bad against others. Alright, so I think I'm gonna Islandify their Urza Saga, and we'll see how that works. Like, I don't know if it's gonna die instantly, but if it doesn't die instantly, it will at least not get a second construct and not get a tutor. Alright, turns out it dies instantly somehow. I'll have to look up that ruling and understand why. If you know why that works in the chat, please let me know. But I did hear that recently, that is the right way. Okay, so hopefully that tutor was an important part of their plan. If they just, like, cast Light from the Womb right now, I'm probably dead. But if they do nothing right now, oh, we're in good shape. I'm playing Oh, I'm gonna attack with Tide Shaper, I think. Yeah, I'll offer the trade. I don't think they have ways to produce artifacts at instant speed. Wait, why is that a 2/2? Oh, that Rockman Triumph. That's right. Okay. That's fair. Okay, so you get that trade. Here's Zvalen of the Sea and Sky. And I'm going to start drawing extra cards. I think drawing extra cards is worth more than having an untouchable creature, because they can't really touch a 3/4 game one anyway. They need like Punishing Fire, pick it back up, Punishing Fire again, which they're not currently equipped to do. Wasteland's a good one. Just sit that in play, make sure I don't lose to Merit Lage. And I think I just want to attack with Zvalen and draw my card. So I think the play here is Silvergill Adept. Or no, I think it's Tide Shaper, because that kind of screws their mana a little more interestingly. So drawing extra cards is nice. Okay, do I want to deny them further mana? I'm not really denying them anything. I think I can get a more surgical approach out of Tide Shaper eventually. Like maybe I could target Dark Depths with it, and then force some action on a Wasteland. Like that sounds like a reasonable place to be. And I left up the mana to port them, so I'm gonna do it. The Mox Diamond makes it hard to take them off anything specifically. All right, we're just in a Wasteland fight. I'm gonna go after red mana. Not that it matters. All right, crop rotation. So let's see what they get with this. Tabernacle. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so I guess I'm just paying 3 and beating down. Okay, they have Life from the Loam. All right, well, how bad is that for me? I can not pay for... I could not pay for Dockhand. I could just pay for everything and mash. I think I'm going to pay for everything and mash, because I have the ability to draw extra cards with Zvalen, and if I push damage now, I can pivot onto this Master of the Pearl Trident, because their Rockran Triome is an island. Just pushing damage, hoping to hit land drops here. I did not hit land drops here. Okay, good job. Yeah, Tabernacle's really good against my creature deck. Surprise. They did not dredge Loam. Took a draw step. Mazavith, pretty good. Making a construct. So I think what I want to do here is port Mazavith. Alright, so yes, keep my Adept around. Keeps Valen around. Yes, and then port Mazavith and let Dockhand die. Or maybe I should have done that the other way. Let Adept die and keep Dockhand. So that's gone. Come on, Island. No Island, no chance. Here we go. Continue punching. Continue not drawing lands. They'll probably trade with Adept. Oh, this is brutal. We had a plan for a while there. So I think that the Tide Shaper is actually really good, just taking out Mazavith. So True Name, and I don't think I need more cards off Adept. Oh, they can find Caracas. That actually just bricks my entire offense. Okay, here we go. So depending on if they come up with Caracas or not will determine if Zvalen is good enough to win this game on its own, or if I need to go on to True Name, or what the actual plan is here. They could also waste their own Rockran Triome at some point, which would turn off the Islandwalk. They picked up Stage, Saga, Taiga. Alright, so Stage can copy Mazavith and slow me down. But luckily I do have the mana now. Luckily, so many creatures died last turn that I have mana again. Base for Zvalen. And kick this to turn Mazavith into an island. Maybe I'm supposed to turn Tabernacle into an island and just power. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense. So they can't make an artifact at instant speed, to my knowledge. So they made a backup Maze of Ith, but that doesn't help them this turn. So how about a land deck? Really into lands here. Nope, no chance. Never gonna happen. Get used to it. Alright, opponent's at 3, which is 1 hit from True Name Nemesis. Gonna discard Dockhand. Alright, they do have to pay the Troll Toll for their construct. They have 2 islands in play. It's gonna be hard to waste themselves off of islands. Right, they found Dark Depths, so they're representing lethal, but if they do that, then that is all. Their stage is also their maze right now. Dark Depths, and they did play the Wasteland, so they can waste themselves off of islands. So, okay, here's the game. I can let Tideshaper die, so I have all my mana for True Name Nemesis. But if I do that, they just make Merit Lage. Alright, I think I just need to draw a blue source here. And that is the game we're playing. Is that possibly right? So, they have Maze of Ith. So, I think I do need to just play to drawing a blue source. Yes, keep this. Yes, keep this. Come on, Cavern of Souls off the top. Cavern of Souls Island also counts. Alright, Lord of Atlantis is in play. That's 2 lethal unblockable attackers, and they can only remove 1 of them. Yeah, I think we got it, right? What am I missing? I think we're in there for Xaxes. Alright, cool. They conceded. That was a stressor, but Tideshaper, my goodness. Probably should have gone after Tabernacle a lot earlier with Tideshaper, but managed to power through it. And we confirm that Tideshaper is just Vindicate on Urza Saga. So against this deck, Echoing Truth can answer generic permanents that are a problem. Submerge can answer Merit Lage, and that's what it can answer. It can answer like a construct 1-for-1, which doesn't seem great. Trickster also answers Merit Lage temporarily, at least. And I could bring in Surgical or Soul Guide Lantern if I think we're going to get into a Loam game. So I'm going to bring in these ones to start. Force of Negation is better than Force of Will, because Life from the Loam is a card that I might want to target. The difference between the two is Force can hit Crop Rotation on my turn, and Force of Negation can hit Life from the Loam forever. I think Curse Catcher sucks here. Like, that's a 1/1 with basically no abilities against this deck that can make infinite land drops. And I want all my creatures to be bangers if they're going to be tabernacling me. Svalin was the hero that game. Though Karakas is a concern for future games. And do I go even lower on Force of Will to sneak a Surgical Extraction in there? Or is it Soul Guide Lantern? I think Surgical's probably better than Soul Guide Lantern because I don't have to spend mana for it or sit it in play. And usually answering the Loam or whatever is good enough. Though a lot of Loam decks board out some number of Loams because they expect graveyard hate. So there could be a level system. Though Life from the Loam is also how they can beat me in a long game. Because the question is how many submerges I actually need. Is it any? Like how bad am I worried about Merit Lage with my Rishadan Port Wasteland deck? Merfolk Trickster, Echoing Truth. Yeah, I don't think I need to specifically worry about Merit Lage. I'm going to do this. I'm not convinced that Surgical is better than Force, especially on the draw, where fighting over exploration matters, but here we are. This is what I'm doing. Well, we are playing against a Wasteland deck, though I have the Echoing Truth. Double Vial's pretty good. Tideshaper proved its merit. I'm going to keep this. I guess the Surgical is actually really good because Punishing Fire is a thing their deck might do, which my deck has a huge problem with. Basic Plains. They're doing something weird over there. Like, the Rockrin Triome last game was kind of suspicious, and then they have Basic Plains this game. So this is not a normal red-green lands deck at all. If they can waste me here, I might be in some trouble. Oh, were they green-white loam the whole time? And they tricked me? They lied to me? Really interested in basic island here. Yikes. Alright. They 2-for-1 themselves to take out an Aether Vial. Probably pretty good. I'll put a counter on it in the graveyard. Alright. Well, now they know Wasteland's going to be pretty good against me. But I have Force of Will to absorb a little bit of pain here. But they could just go for the like depths or stage. They're down to 1 card in hand, and they pitched Exploration to Force of Vigor me. They put Temple Garden into play. That's funny, because like Rockman Triome is just a better plains than that, but because I have Merfolk in my deck, they have to not do that. Okay, so they can make Merit Lage right now while my Wasteland is tapped. I need to draw an island, and I win this game. And I lose if I don't do that. Drawing to a 10 outer. 1 in 5 cards in my deck wins the game. The rest lose the game. Here we go. Money in the bank. Show it to me. Moment of truth. Dead. Okay. You got me. Maybe shouldn't have kept that hand. Willing to believe it. Yeah, the triple Aether Vial hand is usually fine. Like, you don't really need blue mana. But the 1 card in my hand that really, really, really cares about blue mana is the one that wins the game. Okay. So they are green-white depths, not the other thing. So I'm more interested in Submerge than Surgical now that we've seen the Reclaimer and we got cheesed by a Merit Lage. So let's not let that happen twice. What do I want to cut here? So they brought in Force of Vigor, which maybe they expect back to basics out of me. I don't know, but I'm gonna cut an Aether Vial so that they won't get 2 targets for that. Like if I have 1 Aether Vial and they have to 2-for-1 themselves to do it, that's not the worst. I'll just have to keep hands that can function without Vial. And that is actually the only target in the whole deck for that. Well, here we are again with a 1-lander. What have I learned? I'm gonna mulligan. Come on now. This is a 1-lander, but it's a much better one. Do I go to 5? I guess I need I don't even need specifically a blue land here because the adepts can keep the game going. I'm gonna keep this. May regret it, but here we are. I'm gonna bottom 1 of the redundant masters because that may or may not matter, and Merfolk Trickster can buy me a turn against Merit Lage. We have Mox Diamond again. Swords to Plowshares, okay. Time to draw a land. Any one will do. Come on, deck, help me out here. Shit. So, after talking at length about how you need to mulligan to hands that actually function, I still just didn't do that. And I don't know where we are on the, keeping a 1-lander with 22 lands in the deck, and like any land sets you off. I had 1 mana plays. The Port would have played a little bit. Like, they could, if they have choke here, we're just out of here. Prismatic Vistas or Prismatic Ending is pretty good. Yeah, this library is a problem. How about a land? Jesus. Yeah, so 21 out of 52 cards in the deck. Like 1 out of 3 cards was the land. We've taken 3 draw steps, haven't hit 1. And I still think we're playing the game even if we hit it this turn. We're just like getting got. Now they have Uro. Off of Mox Diamond. Oh, I guess we did see the blue mana game 1. After what we saw game 2, it is weirder that they had red mana game 1 than it is that they had other mana on subsequent turns. So like the game 2 green-white depths game they played is the weird one. Like game 1 I was like, it's weird they have blue mana or blue and white mana in their lands deck, but it's actually weirder that they have blue and red mana in their green-white depths deck now that we know what they're doing. They need a blue source to cast Uro this turn, which is not a card I think I can beat. crop rotation, so they can make Merit Lage right now. Oh, I'm holding Force of Negation. Wow. I'm sorry for the quality of my play this video. Literally holding Force of Negation and let their crop rotation resolve. I'm just, yeah, I don't know what's going on right now. My brain is just so disappointed that this blue deck doesn't have Brainstorm in it. I could still draw Submerge, so I'm gonna cast this. All right, Submerge, 2 outer. Fuck my entire life. Okay, and I should have Forced Negation their crop rotation. Maybe I'm supposed to mulligan this hand completely. Like, maybe it's reasonable to expect a land out of 4 draw steps that just didn't happen. So, I don't know. Maybe I go to 5. Like, going to 5 just seems so much worse than playing the numbers, but maybe, like, I guess you have to account for the fail state of, like, how bad is it if I don't hit a land in the first 2 or 3 turns, and it's obviously, like, GG. But, okay. I've lost this one. This one was totally my fault at some point. I'm gonna try to tighten up. I'm gonna, like, go take a walk and clear my brain, eat some food before we come back for round 4, and hopefully play a little better. We're back for round number 4. I'm on the draw again. I'm obviously going to mulligan this hand, but before we do, I looked up the Saga versus Tide Shaper ruling between rounds, and the answer is actually pretty simple. So, the rules text of the Saga card type is that when this has when the lore counters on this card are equal to or greater than its total number of chapters, sacrifice it as a state-based action. A mountain has no chapters, so it is and Blood Moon doesn't change enchantment types, it changes land types. So it becomes it is briefly a enchantment mountain saga, and in that brief moment where it's in play, the game sees that there's a saga in play with 0 lore counters and 0 chapters, and sacrifices the land to the saga ability because 0 is greater than or equal to 0. So that's how that works. That's why that works. It makes perfect sense once you understand that the enchantment type sticks around. So there's that. Probably should have looked that up 2 rounds ago, but here we are. All right, and I'm mulliganing this hand, obviously. And here we go. And we got a keeper. Guess I'm sending 2 Wastelands to the bottom. So 3 leagues in with Merfolk, and I think that the blue source count in this deck is just a problem. Like, I feel like I'm mulliganing with my mono blue deck way too often because I'm color screwed. And it looks like we're about to get reanimated. Right. Oh, Bloodghast and Bridge from Below. Alright, this is not Reanimator. It's something different. I'm going to mess up their land because I think cheesing them is the best chance I'm going to have. This is some sort of, like, black-based Hogak deck. I mean, I guess they're all black, but I don't know what the Badlands is for, just Faithless Looting. A lot of the Hogak decks these days are blue-based. But yeah, this definitely feels like Gak. And there it is, confirmed, and they can cast it right now. They have an 8/8. Trample on turn 2. Alright, yeah. We're not winning this one. Should I even reveal that I'm playing Merfolk? I don't think so. Yeah, we're just dead in 2 turns, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to reveal anything except that I'm a Wasteland deck. Let them think I'm Delver going into the next game, or whatever. This was a good round to spend some time talking about how Saga works, because that game ended up being very fast. I didn't see Forest, though I did see Satyr Wayfinder, so there are probably forests in this deck, though I don't know that Submerge really matters. I think these Graveyard Hate cards and the Force of Wills are just going to have to do the work. You know, Echoing Truth can clear a zombie army, or just get some temporary reprieve from Hogak. But if I do this, what's the... Curse Catcher can blow up bridges as long as there's an instant or sorcery on the stack, which might be kind of interesting, but also maybe not. I need my forces to respect Altar of Dementia, because I really don't want to lose to that card. A True Name Nemesis might be a little slow. Like, this deck doesn't play a whole lot of removal. They do play a lot of potential blockers, but that's what Islandwalk is for, and I have the Tide Shapers. Actually, I think Dockhand might be worse than Curse Catcher here because they need so few mana resources to operate on. I think I just need to try to do traditional Merfolk pack rat stuff and punch through them. I'm gonna have to mulligan this hand. One Force of Will is not gonna beat Hogak. Like, we do need 8 cards. So, alright, I'm gonna keep this, and I think just based on how this hand looks, the Force of Will has to get sent. Like, if I spend any time doing anything else, I'm not gonna be able to, like, I'm just not gonna have cards to pitch to the Force. And I need my creatures to win the game with. So here's Curse Catcher. In play, off you go. Surgical Extraction's gotta carry the day here. Surgical does not beat Hogak straight up. Just, I want to make that perfectly clear that that's not a thing. But it could buy time against an aggressive deck. Like, in your control deck, that's not going to be enough. But here, playing this aggro deck with the aggressive draw, there's a chance. I am going to attack. I'm going to offer the trade. Stitcher Supplier milling 3 is good for them, but it's also good for them to have a black creature in play to cast Hogak with. And they have this Cabal Therapy that they might want to use. I bet Surgical Extraction is just the card you name. So if they flashback Therapy, the Stitcher Supplier mills 3 before the Therapy resolves, and I'm going to have to pick something juicy out of those 5 cards in the graveyard to extract. Because I think it's just an easy name here. Hopefully they mill a bridge that I can just hit something easy. All right, I'm going to get rid of their altars. That at least takes the combo line off their deck. Oh, they were targeting themselves. I should have paid attention to that too. But, alright. Yeah, they weren't even targeting me. I could have let that resolve. So they're going to put 2 Bloodghast in their graveyard here and then cast Hogak, it looks like. Yeah, I fucked this up. I just didn't even look to see who they were targeting, and I'm going to lose for it. Yeah, I could have responded to the land drop by exiling the Bloodghast. Now they get 10 power into play, or 12 power into play. Does Tide Shaper even matter here? Yep, mistakes were made. Remember when I said I was going to take a walk, eat some food, clear my brain, and play better? I did. Didn't even matter. Just forgot to check who they were even targeting with Cabal Therapy. I hope you are all getting something out of this. I feel pretty bad about the quality of this league, and maybe I'm just, I don't know. I'm still going to post it. I put the time in. I got to get what I'm going to get out of this, but it is not my best work, and I know it. So I have to cast Adept. Got to draw. Look who decided to show up. Alright, Soul Guide Lantern. Get rid of one of these Faithless Lootings, I guess. Well, the good news is now if I get 1,000,000 power into play and trade off with Hogak, I can exile it from the graveyard. So if I take 12 right now, I go to 6, and then you can play Lord of Atlantis and maybe actually trade off with a big chunk of their board next turn. Right, that doesn't matter much, but alright. Here's my Lord of Atlantis. All in on Island. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm just dead here. I'm, I think, 1 power short of actually stabilizing the board, but I'm gonna lose everything here. And if they have a fetch land they can play pre-combat, I don't even get to clear the Bloodghast. They should turn everything sideways, including Stitcher Supplier. Yep, they found the line eventually. They were thinking about it for a while, but now I just have to throw my entire board into the graveyard to deal with Hogak. 1, 2, 3. Can't even kill both Bloodghasts. I'm just dead on board. Don't even know what I could draw to pretend there's still a game to play here. And they didn't make a land drop, but they could still draw one. I guess there's a world where I'm supposed to draw a card off Soul Guide Lantern just for any chance to play this game. Like, I'm dead on board to their threats, dead to a land drop. which they clearly don't have. I guess if I like bomb them to clear the graveyard and draw a True Name Nemesis, like what 2 mana, what double play? Like if I draw a card instead of just exiling their bin, what does that look like? Like what am I hoping for? Like Silvergill Adept plus Lord, or True Name Nemesis? Like 2 looks at True Name Nemesis, but then I'm dead to a land drop at any point. Guess I could find a threat and a second piece of graveyard hate, which, I mean, that's like anything can be in the box, even a boat. Zvalen, not great. Force of Will's a brick. So I can exile their graveyard for free. So I'm just going to go to my turn, figure out what I want to do here. Okay, so I can cast... This is actually a little interesting. So I can cast this creature with Kicker and turn one of these into an island. Then I can Wasteland the one that's not an island. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to bomb them before combat, or else they can just jam Hogak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, that's not true because Hogak can't exile itself to cast itself, obviously. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I guess I can go to combat, but if they draw a fetch land, I lose the game. Do I want to roll those dice? Whatever, let's go. Like, playing to win here, I have to block Stitcher Supplier in combat, go to 1, bomb their graveyard, draw something else to stabilize, and then stay ahead of Bloodghast for the rest of the game. And they can't cast any spells in their deck right now. And a land drop isn't good enough. It has to be specifically fetch land. Okay. Okay. Stability. That's not what I needed. Is there any reason to slow roll this? Yeah, I guess bluffing something is worth it. It's passing the turn. They're also passing the turn, I hope. Alright, come on. How about a creature? That's a creature. Alright, let's turtle up here. Now I'm not dead to a fetch land anymore. That helps. I just have to be careful of them getting 1 extra card in their graveyard somehow. Okay, it's time. Yeah, let's bomb the bin. Those are gone. They can attack with Supplier now to try to reload. I think I want to put Dockhand in front of this. I don't want to go to 1. And they spent several turns looking for a land drop, so that's not a lock for the future. And keep them off colors that they actually play their deck with. Order them in their upkeep. Just gotta fade some land drops. Well, how about Zvalen? Waste them off their bad lands. And I guess I just port the island. I imagine there are colorless sources in their deck somewhere. Or colorless mana costs. Ugh. Every turn, like, graveyard hate would be great. Okay, cool. Here we go. I can cast this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put this card into play. Just forgot to tap my Cavern for blue. Good thing they don't have counterspells. Not dead to a land drop this turn. Alright, that's 2 land drops. That's actually a fucking nightmare. Do I go to 1? Or do I just trade off with Adept? Yeah, I don't want to go to 1. Because then Stitcher Supplier becomes the lethal attacker for the rest of the game. And I want the option of blocking or not blocking that if I don't want to kill it. They're fetching now to play around Graveyard Hate. Like a Lord, if I can get the Tideshaper up to being a 3/3, that effectively blocks Bloodghast for a long time. God, there's a Vengevine in the graveyard. Now we're in trouble. Okay, I think I'm dead now. Like, Force of Will, way too late. Now they have lands they can play on. I block Bloodghast just to stay alive. That unlocks their mana, and I'm dead, and with no draws. Okay. Played that game a lot longer than I thought we were going to, but still ended up... Obviously in the one game where I wanted to draw spells and not lands, we drew 6 lands versus... or 7 with the Wasteland. Drew 7 lands instead of 6 creatures, or 7 creatures and 0 lands. But that one was closer than it had any right to be. Oh, we were a long way out from doing anything. Okay, final round's coming. Let's try to get on the board. I'm on the draw in the final round again. I have no blue sources in my hand again. This hand can protect its Aether Vial with Force of Will, but I think I'm just gonna commit to, at least for science, play looking for hands that have blue sources. So here we go. I don't think I get to keep Rishadan Port in this hand. And I could ship the Force of Will and just hope it's a fair matchup. Or I could ship Dockhand. I'm just gonna... I think on the Mull to 5 I have to roll the dice that this is a fair matchup and get rid of Force of Will. So where my opponent goes Lotus Petal. Shit. Okay, so Cavern on Merfolk. Hopefully my opponent is pooping their pants right now, because when you go basic island go, and your opponent goes Cavern on Merfolk, that either means it's time to storm off, or it's time to frantically cantrip for Swords to Plowshares. Blue to Delta, that's bad for me. Alright. Volcanic Island is whatever. So I'm going to attack with my creature, because my plan is to Wasteland them. And if they have the Lightning Bolt, I don't want them to know it's time to cast it. And I am just going to keep getting on board with Tide Shaper. It's a 2-2. They have an island in play. I can Rishadan Port them if I feel the need to slow this game down. Oh, they're show and tell. Great, we're dead. That's also a thing that can occur. Well, they don't have a red source in play right now. So I think I should be attacking and tapping their island in the upkeep. Try to keep them at least from cantripping into a red source. Oh, had one anyway. Okay. Alright, sure. I guess I'll take my 15, go to 0 permanents, and try to keep playing. There they go. Hell yeah, Force of Will. Oh, they had another creature. They figured it out. Okay. Alright, we played against a combo deck. Mull to 5. Bottom Force of Will because we just didn't have a clock without it. And just lost the coin flip whether it would be a combo deck or not. So since we're here, before I start sideboarding, I think that this plan of Merfolk has a lot of fundamental problems, because number one, these Rishadan, the amount of time a game lasts hurts Merfolk. Like, you want to cheese out quick, present more than they can answer, faster they can answer it. And Mutavault is a land that helps get the game over faster, whereas Rishadan Port is a land that exists to make the game take longer, just like that is the point of that land. That's what it's for. So that is a fundamental concern at the base level of Merfolk. Merfolk Trickster, a card that is normally 3 or 4 of in the main deck. We have 2 in the sideboard, and that goes a long way to forcing that damage over the finish line. These 8 lands could be just a couple more islands and Mutavaults, and our spells become more castable. Like, there's a lot going on here that, while it is cool that we can play this control version of Merfolk, Merfolk is just not a control deck. It's actually really bad at doing that. So I think that there's a lot of reasons here to not build your Merfolk deck like this. I appreciate the experiment. Like, I think trying Rishadan Dockhand is cool, and we've had some cool games with it. Like, we controlled Amulet pretty hard. They ended up winning the game anyway, which is maybe a sign that even when we have 5 Rishadan Ports in play and a Wasteland against a lands-based deck, it's still not good enough. Like, maybe that's a smoking gun that we shouldn't be playing this deck the way that it's built. This is literally the best 7 I've seen all day, but we're playing against Sneak and Show, so I have to mulligan it. Bummer. This is the same hand, but I have Curse Catcher, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it this time. I'm going to send Master of the Pearl Trident to the bottom, because Lord of Atlantis is more stylish, and they do the same thing. So hopefully Curse Catcher plus Wasteland can keep show and tell off the stack for a minute or two. If I can get some Merfolk into play and then they cast show and tell and I put in Lord of Atlantis, I might have a lethal Alpha Strike on the way back. Opponent also mulled to 5, which is pretty nice. Here's my Curse Catcher. Cannot be countered. On countering duty. Uncounterable counterspell. Ooh, this is going to be a good Wasteland. Finding Force of Will is nice, and I'm definitely just taking this where I can get it. They mulled to 5. They gave me a juicy Wasteland target when my creature in play is Curse Catcher. Like, put it in my veins. They did play around that on their blue source. So here comes Curse Catcher again. I'm going to draw a card with Adept this turn. I'm going to show them the other Adept, not the Lord, because showing them Lord might affect a show and tell. Alright, so I have Force of Will and Curse Catcher to fight with right now. Ooh, do I want to catch this Ponder's Curses? I don't think so. I think just with this Lord of Atlantis in hand that this Curse Catcher is going to be worth... I think the damage it represents in play is worth more than going after a random Ponder. Also a good chance this Ponder's bait and they just have like Land City of Traders, show and tell in hand. They chose to shuffle. Get rid of it. Got a Lotus Petal for me, and then gonna attack for 3. And I guess I'm showing them the Lord this time, because I'm not gonna not play a spell, and if I don't play Silvergrill Adept now, I may never do it. So they don't know about Force of Will. They do know about Lord of Atlantis, which is good for 3, 6, 7, 8 damage on board right now. They need some blue mana in there. So I'm going to go after this with Curse Catcher. They had Simian Spirit Guide. They also have Force of Will. Nope. Okay. So it's... oh, that was a good draw. Alright, time for the anemic but respectable beats. And we maintain the mana denial in the meantime. They missed their land drop and had to spend 2 Lotus Petals on that, so I think we're gonna just push over the finish line here. But again, it's freaking Sneak and Show, so any nonsense could happen. I think if I continue pressuring the blue sources, I'm gonna be better off. I could hold up Hardcast Force of Will and get off porting. I'm going to start doing that next turn. Oh, alright. Well, there's that. Time to rebuild. Alright, I'm just going to hold up Force of Will here, because I can't port them off show and tell anyway. And... or... they should know that I have Force of Will now, based on how I've played this game. Alright, I still have Force of Will. I still think holding up Force of Will is better than controlling their mana at this point. Did I get dazed? I did not get dazed. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, I can cast this thing and still port. I drew Surgical. Hell yeah. Alright, so stop in their draw step. I'm going to attack them with Master. Port in their upkeep. Alright, so took them off that. Then in their draw step, I think I want to hit the show and tell out of their graveyard. Oh, they're just conceding. Okay. Oh, I guess I have lethal on board. Alright, yeah, they don't even need to see the Surgical. GG. Yeah, so I ported... I was targeting show and tell because that's the one they could cast with 3 mana, and I already ported them off of the sneak attack. Submerge doesn't matter. Suspend can only hit one of their 2 creatures, and the creature it can hit can draw 7 in response and counter it, so I'm not interested in that. Echoing Truth could bounce a sneak attack, but at this point with the deck, I would have to be like cutting counter spells, and I could just counter it instead. So here we go. Curse Catcher MVP, finally. Actually, Curse Catcher had 2 heroic moments this game, like when it countered that Force of Will on board earlier. That was pretty great too. Oh, Ramala getting another 7-hand. And Merfolk Trickster is one of the better cards in the deck against what we're playing against. But I can't keep this. Just can't do it. Jesus. Alright, I mean, this hand does not interact, but it does put creatures into play, and I hope that they show me a little bit of respect for having counterspells in my hand. Like just buying a little bit of time to fake that I'm up to anything is pretty nice. Alright, so I'm just going to cast this. I think getting damage on board is worth more than trying to color screw them. I think, like, another play there could have been Island Go and just represent Spell Pierce for a second. I don't know. Like, if I just don't play this card, then I can Cavern and take you off red next turn. Maybe that's good. It doesn't do anything to play around Show and Tell. It doesn't put damage on the board. Alright, wouldn't have taken them off red either. Force of Will. Alright, Surgical Extraction. Not helpful right now. I'm going to Adapt, Revealing Adapt, and hope to draw Force of Will. Alright, there we go. Brainstorm in response. That's interesting. Why would you do that? Can't think of a reason. Okay, are we dead? Petal to play around Daze. Show and Tell, I can put in Master and try to pound. Or I could put in Adept and try to draw a card. I guess I should have Surgical in response to try to determine that. So, I think it's actually Adept. Like drawing the extra card is going to be worth a lot more. Alright, now none of it's worth anything because they just monster me now. Alright, well, I'm glad I drew an extra card at least. So, I take 15 here. And I'm going to play Island. Oh shit, I was supposed to hit the Emeralds before they shuffled in. Damn it. I forgot about that. Just click through it. I've managed to make at least some tiny sub-optimization every turn. Or every game this entire league. Alright. First catcher. So I was supposed to extract the Emeralds so they have half as many hits in their deck, only 4 instead of 8. We pass the turn again. Dockhand. Yeah, I think continuing to put damage on the board is the best thing I can do. Oh, you have Grizzlebrand to block. Even better. That's great. I deserve that. That's alright. It could be worse. Here's Dockhand. This one's unblockable at least. Pass without a play again. Master. Yes, I'll pay 1. Is their hand just 2 dazes? So that would make sense. Okay. Nope, not paying for that. Because I can't. So their hand is Volcanic Island and 1 mystery card. I really wish they were drawing to a 4-outer instead of an 8-outer right now. Ugh. They shuffled their library. Master. Attack for 2. File. Continue fading draw steps. Alright, you got me. Couldn't answer the first one. Another Vial. So I just attack for 4. Port their Volcanic Island in the upkeep. So if by porting Volcanic Island, it makes it so if they use the Volcanic Island for Ponder, then they don't have a red source for sneak attack, at least this turn. Counters on my Vials. Alright, obey your master. I'm out of Pyroclasm range now. So maybe I should be porting them off both of their red sources. Yeah, that's definitely the better play. I have them dead on board next turn and just take them off red. Based on how they've played the game, I don't think they have a red source or a monster. So let's just make it stop. Did we do it? Alright. On the board, they've conceded this game. I managed to power through an Emrakul connection. The Rishadan Ports came in pretty good here, keeping them off red. This Surgical just rotting in my hand, giving them twice as many outs as they needed. But yeah, just got one on the board. So the deck, like I started to say in round 5, while I think it is cool, and we did do some cool things with the Dockhands and the Wastelands and the Ports, they were not irrelevant. Like these are all powerful legacy level effects. I just don't think it's what Legacy Merfolk needs to be doing. Like, if you want to do this stuff, Death and Taxes has a better shell to do it in. If you want to Wasteland people and attack with efficient creatures, Delver is a lot better at doing that. The thing that Merfolk does that's better than those other decks is just more of the same. Just like Here's a 1/1. It's a 2/2 now. It's a 3/3 now. They're all unblockable and you're dead. And like just having this card in your deck that's like incentivizes you to not attack, to not tap your mana to develop your board. And if you do tap your mana to develop your board, then you don't get to use the thing you're playing this card for. And it's not very good. Like a 1/2 Islandwalk with no other abilities would not be in a Merfolk deck. I'm pretty sure those cards exist with similar text to that. Like there is an unblockable 1/1 Merfolk that just exists in Magic, and we don't play that one. So I think that this is not where you want to be for Merfolk. Also, these 8 colorless lands were just a complete beating. I don't think we kept a 7-card hand, or at least not one that we should have kept for the entire 5 rounds. I want more islands in my mono blue deck. I want to cast my spells. That's, as you know if you watch my channel, like casting your spells, the ability to cast your spells is just my #1 priority all of the time in Legacy. Like that's why I fill my deck with basic lands. That's why I play more lands than most people. I just prioritize things differently. Like I never want to get dazed. I never want to get wasted out of a game. Like, and that's where a lot of my wins come from, because I just choose to exist on a different axis than a lot of the format wants to fight on. And the 4 Cavern of Souls mono blue deck is doing a good job at that, but then you dilute that plan by adding these 4 colorless, or these 8 colorless lands, and it's the goofy creature that doesn't necessarily want to attack a lot of the time. So that I would play just a more traditional pack rat version of Merfolk if I were going to play Merfolk. That said, True Name Nemesis is still a powerful Magic card. Svalan of the Sea and Sky has been incredible every time it's been in play across the 2 leagues I've played with Modern Horizons 2 Merfolk. Obviously, the Lords are great. Adept still holds up after all this time. I did miss Merfolk Trickster in the main deck, and I think that Rishadan Dockhand slot would just be better suited with this thing. Just controls the battlefield, pushes extra damage, does everything you want it to do. Paradoxically, I think that Merfolk Trickster is a better card against Amulet Titan also. Like, we dragged that game out forever with Rishadan Dockhand just pressuring their lands, but Merfolk Trickster just tapping and removing the abilities from Dryad of the Elysian Grove can do a lot of work. It pushes a lot of damage, turns off their 5-color mana for the turn. Tapping a Primeval Titan when it comes into play, like, they trigger it, they get their Slayer Stronghold in the Boros Garrison, they go to target, give it haste, and you just tap it, and then attack them back. Like, that's actually a way to out-tempo an Amulet draw, where with Rishadan Dockhand, if they get to the 6 mana and cast the thing, it's too late and you're dead. So, Merfolk Trickster, I think the loss of that is just too big in the main deck. You want that. It's great against Show and Tell also. Like, they sneak attack in Emrakul, you flash in Merfolk Trickster, tap it, loses all abilities, dies at the end of the turn, and you clap back. This just lines up so much better against the format than Rishadan Dockhand does, so that's what I want to be doing. So, more islands, more Tricksters, fewer Dockhands. Thank you, Seattle, for your concept here. And it was fun, and we did some cool things. I just think that this is not the optimal way to build Merfolk, and I hope that feedback is useful. Thank you, everyone, for watching, bearing with me to get through this league. This was one of the rougher ones, and I'm glad we made it to the end. Make sure you share your feedback in the comments, and like and subscribe to the channel while you're here, and I'll see you next time.